Hello and welcome to another anynode tutorial video. We invite you to sit back and watch as we show you how to use the condition function for time-based routing in anynode. Anynode 3.10 and later versions can now route your calls based on time-dependent conditions. For example, a company is located in New York and has a subsidiary in Los Angeles. If a customer from New York, which has Eastern Time, calls outside office hours and there is no one in the office, the call can be routed to the Los Angeles office, which still has 3 more office hours left in the day. The biggest advantage of time-based routing is that you can use your company's facilities at full capacity. Your customers will be happy to have 3 more hours to call in. Of course, there are some other options to use time-based routing, such as route calls to a voicemail after office hours, route calls to a mobile phone on weekends, holidays, or after hours, and route calls based on system-related values like CPU load, memory usage, etc. Time ranges. You can create a time range object to trigger a time-dependent routing. Use add time range to define time ranges and special days. You can specify the time zone to which the entered times will refer. As a default, the time zone defined here is set automatically, based on the system time of the operating system that anynode is running on. In our example, we use Eastern Time for New York. You can define conditions that relate to time ranges and special days. For our example, we enter the office hours in New York, which are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please note that you have to enter the times in 24-hour format. In the next step, you can specify the days on which the condition should apply. In our example, we use Monday to Friday as office hours. We also tick on holidays, which will be defined next. The date picker can be used to define holidays or other specific days to which the conditions refer. Please note, instead of typing it manually, you can also enter a date by merely clicking on a date in the pop-up calendar. The latter method is somewhat safer since an invalid date cannot be entered this way. In our example, we will keep it simple and just enter Independence Day. We rename the entered time range to Office Hours, New York. Now we add a second time range and do the same for the office hours in Los Angeles. However, here we will set the time zone to Pacific Time and rename time range to Office Hours, Los Angeles. Condition Rule Set. When you select Conditions and click on Add Condition, you can define conditions that relate to time ranges and special days. If you add more than one condition, then these will be linked with OR. This means that if at least one condition is currently valid, then the time range is triggered. Once you have added a condition, under Conditions, a set of condition rules has to be defined and an operator needs to be selected. The operator determines how many condition rules must be fulfilled to satisfy this condition. Define a set of condition rules and select an operator. The default value is AND. Each condition rule must be fulfilled. Other values are OR, at least one condition rule must be fulfilled, XOR, exactly one condition rule must be fulfilled, NAND, at least one condition rule must not be fulfilled, NOR, each condition rule must not be fulfilled. Via Add Rule, the type of the first operand can be selected. The default is object-based status value. These kinds of values describe the status of currently configured objects, for example, the number of node sessions or time ranges. A module-based status value can be used for system-related values, such as CPU load and memory usage. Here are just a few examples. In module Configuration and Status, you can select the status value Maintenance Mode Active. When you select Main Program, The default status value is terminating. In module Resource Access, File Upload and Download, you can choose between status values, CPU load, memory load. In the module SIP Load Balancing, you can choose the number of redirects during last hour, last minute, or last second. The fallback value is the value that will be used when the system is not able to calculate the value. In this case, the value for the fallback value has to be entered. For example, when using module Resource Access, File Upload and Download, a condition for a CPU load greater than or equal to 70% has to be entered as follows. As a fallback value, we enter 80% to ensure that the condition is fulfilled when the system is not able to calculate the value. Please note the condition rule is always a mathematical inequality or a mathematical equation, depending on the operator set in the middle with module, status value, and fallback value on one side, a constant value on the other side. Now, let's get back to our practical example regarding the office hours in New York and Los Angeles. We start with the office hours in New York and set object-based status value as the type for the first operand. Now, we select our previously created time range object, office hours New York. The status value and fallback value are defaults. The Boolean comparison operator is an equal sign. On the other side of the mathematical inequality, we set the second operand type to constant value and the operand to true. We rename to Office Hours New York. Now we do the same for the office hours in Los Angeles as well, but this time we use the time range object Office Hours Los Angeles. Routing. In the routing domain, routing decisions can be configured. Please refer to our tutorial, Basics Dial String Manipulation and Routing, to learn more about the routing wizard. As a best practice example, we base the routing on the destination number that customers are calling to reach this company's office. In the Route Assistant, a condition can be selected. Only if this condition is met is this route taken. Here, we select our condition, Office Hours New York. During the office hours in New York, the call is routed to Skype for Business, which is used by the office in New York. The PBX routes calls directly to the office in Los Angeles when the condition Office Hours Los Angeles is met. The set of routing rules is processed from top to bottom, which means that the order of the rules will be decisive for the results. To check that the routing is configured correctly, we can take a quick look at monitor mode. We see here that the call came in from the VoIP provider, met the condition Office Hours New York, and was then routed to Skype for Business. This brings us to the end of our video now, and we thank you very much for your attention, and have a wonderful day.